Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur TV show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. You can also follow the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur fan page and follow me on Twitter at DGoddess27. Hold on just a moment. Let me see if I can pull my chat up on my phone because I can't see the chat for some reason. Okay, there you all go. Let me see if I can get this off the screen. Okay, there it is. I can see my chat. Okay, so listen, beloveds. Hello, Kathy B, Antoinette, Piggy's Picks, Moni, Vina. All right, Jeff, TJ, Juju, Nita's and Mike's World, Kenyatta, Capricornus. I see you, that crazy beach Aries. All right. And October Opal. And that crazy beach Aries, I need you to email me, beloved, because what me and you formerly talked about and we weren't able to get it scheduled, send me an email because I'm going to schedule that for you, okay? And don't worry about the cost or anything because we've already got that settled. All right, beloved. Hello, Black Women Stand Up. Yanita, Linda. Okay, so listen. Hey, Robin, let's get into it. I see my moderators in the house. Shout out to AI, my chief moderator. So Wigzilla is a whole hustler, says Mickey Bricks. Hello, Ocean. All right, so listen. Let me say this, beloveds. It seems to me that some of our people are losing sight of what we should be focused on. Now, what we should be focused on as it pertains, hey, Michael M., what we should be focused on as it pertains to me exposing Wig is the fact that, not the fact that I call her Wig, which is clearly a dig, but we shouldn't be focused on that. We should be focused on why I'm exposing her, okay? We should be focused on why I'm exposing her. And I'm doing this because of the numerous Black people and some of them elderly people, foundational Black Americans, FBA people that were left homeless due to her nefarious actions. Now, let me say this. If she had done that in the past and given atonement for it, at least given her victims an apology, at least admitted that she was wrong and just moved on. And she's currently doing, thank you, beloved. Mr. Hotel says, Queen, you're doing the right thing. Thank you, beloved. Robin says, exactly. She's still scamming the community. That's my point. Thank you. That is my point. She hasn't moved on from her con games. She hasn't given atonement. She still persists and continues to lie and say that these documents that I've shown are fraudulent. But pay attention, she contradicted herself. You can go back and watch her own video. She clearly contradicted herself when she said, family, they're using fake documents. They're using doctored documents. They're fake. And then later she says in the same video, these are the same documents that the federal government used to convict your dear sister. Well, if they're the same documents that the federal government used, and they are, she's right, how could they be fake and fraudulent? It makes no sense. And here's the thing. If I had doctored these documents, if I had fabricated any detail of what I'm telling you about her, then why would I show you a video and tell advise each of you to investigate this yourself? You can find the same receipts that I have. You can file a Freedom of Information Act and get court transcripts, court documents. You can get all of the information. Why would I tell you that if I'm lying? Now, this has gone too far, and it's really starting to get on my last nerve because here's the thing. She continues to lie, which shows and says to me that she has no remorse for what she has done. And we also know that she has no remorse because she continues to prey upon the Black community. Now, some of you may disagree with that, but here's the thing. There have been several people who were her former subscribers, who were her former supporters, not only as well as listening to her videos, purchasing her items that she sells on her website, but also giving her substantial and significant donations, okay? And there's even more people that have asked to come on my show, but I felt like there was no need for it because for the most part, they can only reiterate what other people on the show have already said. but I can absolutely bring upon a myriad of more people. What I'm not going to allow those who are on her side, what I'm not going to allow them to do is discredit me. You cannot discredit me. I'm not going to allow them to make it seem, to try to change the narrative and make it as if I'm just a hater on YouTube. I'm not a hater. You see, I have exposed numerous of people, and I've told you all that, and you all know that. Now, no one called me a hater when I spoke about Young Pharaoh, Brother Polites, Black Lives Matter, Patrice Concoolers, Tamika Mallory. No one called me a hater when I spoke about them. And I want to say this for those of you who continue to say things like, this is divisive, this is not what we should be focused on. I'm sorry, but someone running a con game, a whole hustle on our community is something we all should be focused on. The lady that I showed you in the picture, and let me bring her picture back up, she could have been any of our grandmother. She could be any of our grandmother. So what I'm not going to do is sit there and allow people to try to redirect the flow of the conversation or change the narrative. Because this is not about the queen. This is about people who are being victimized and who have been victimized. And the fact that they've received no justice, no apology, and quite frankly, Wig continues to go on with her little scheme and try to make herself the victim when she's not the victim. The people that she did these things to, the people that she left homeless on streets, the elderly foundational Black American people who had to relocate, those are the victims. And I find it so interesting that she did these things, was charged, tried, and convicted of these things, owes restitution for these things, but yet she continues to paint herself as the victim. Now, beloveds, I will tell you this. I am no psychologist, but this reeks of a covert narcissist with sociopathic tendencies, in my opinion. Now, I'm not going to stand for it. I'm going to show more receipts and I'm going to make more comparisons. And as I said, I don't care about the naysayers, the ones who want to call me a hater or any of that stuff. I don't care what they have to say, because I'm going to continue to stand in truth. And as I've said, when you stand in truth, you cannot stand in truth and be aligned with lies. And that's what Wig cannot do. She cannot stand in truth at the same time aligning herself with lies. And that's absolutely what she's doing. All right? Let's not forget who this is really about. This is not about the queen. This is not about me and Vicki Dillard having an online beef over foolishness. This is not about hating on someone. This is not a clout chase. This is not about me gaining or losing subscribers. And I want you all to pay attention to something too, beloveds, because at the end of the day, you all know for yourselves that in history, many people who spoke out against other people, who spoke truth to power, who uncovered things that were left hidden or kept hidden, they have been demonized. We know this, right? The thing is this, if I was just trying to come out just to, because this is a beef, don't you all know that I have common sense to know she has a bigger platform than I do? She has a huge, more of a larger fan base and following than I do. In fact, some of my subscribers listen to both of us. Now, it wasn't me who told the subscribers they had to choose between the two. It was her who did that. So I'm sorry, but that is definitely what a hater would do. That's not what I have ever done. So with that all being said, let's stop trying to make this about the queen and Wig. And let's make it about the people that were victimized and who were left homeless on the streets. And in fact, who had to relocate. And they had to sue her in court along with her co-conspirators. And also the fact that she's still doing these things. And that's why I have likened her current behaviors that she's using, her current things that she's doing in the community. I've likened it to Peter Popoff. And I also am likening it to the pastor in Zimbabwe who was selling his parishioners tickets to heaven. You see, the reason I say that it's the same thing as what Wig is doing is because you can't sell someone a ticket to heaven. Now, right, you'll go to heaven based on your own merits, based on whether you were righteous or unrighteous, whether you were just or unjust, based on whether you were evil or good. That's how you decipher who goes to heaven. No one could buy a ticket. Now, by his thinking, or by the people who bought those tickets, by their thinking, then you can do as many nefarious things in your lifetime as you choose. You can go out here and rob, steal, and kill and just pay for a ticket to heaven. How does that even make sense? But that's no different than when Wig says to people she's selling them these keys and these fake ATM cards, and that this is going to give them financial success after she chants over it. Or you say incantations that she's told you to say. This, I don't tell any of you on my spiritual channel. I never tell you to say any type of incantations. That's what is involved in witchcraft. I tell you all to say affirmations, speak positivity and life into yourself and your loved ones, and especially your children. That's what I teach. Speak affirmations. An affirmation is not an incantation. An incantation is what you use when you're dabbling in witchcraft, in the dark arts. All right? When you're trying to conjure something. So that's not what I am on. And I want you all to pay attention, because those ATM cards and the keys that she lied and said would give you direct access to your ancestors, when she lied and said they would activate your DNA, let me tell you something. You have the ability to activate your own DNA. You have the ability to activate your own DNA. And at the end of the day, you also have the ability to communicate with your own ancestors. You don't need a key that someone's chanted over in order to do so. You don't need a key to do that. And I'll say another thing. The young lady who was on my show, who was passing out flyers for Wig at one time, who was her subscriber at one time and who loved her so, and even did a video praising her. I have that video. I didn't bother to show it because, as I said, I have so many receipts that I can't count them all. So I select carefully what I want to talk about and when. But the thing is, the young lady Ashura, when she was on my show that day, before we started the show, before I went live, she had that key around her neck. You see, she was so accustomed to wearing it. She said she had worn it since November. And as I'm sitting there talking to her, and she's telling me about the things that happened, and I said to her, take that key off of your neck. You need to take that off and throw it away. And she said, oh, right, I forgot I had it on. I've been wearing it since November. When she took it off, and Mr. Hotel can attest to this because he was in the backstage with us. When she took it off of her neck, she said, oh my goodness. And we're like, what? She said there was a heaviness that she had been feeling on her chest. And when she removed the key, the heaviness left. Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Likely because malevolent spirits and entities were attached to that key. Because Wig supposedly chanted over those keys, did incantations. Okay, those keys are never going to give you access to your ancestors. You can gain access to your ancestors yourself through meditation, through prayer. All right, that's what you do. Our ancestors come to us in dreams. And let me just tell you all something. I don't know if I told you all this before, but I definitely know I told my moderators this. I had a dream months ago, and I think I did tell you all this, but I'm going to reiterate because some of our people, have short-term memory. I told you all that I had a dream that my native ancestors came to me, and they had me with my arms out like a cross, and they were performing a smudging ritual on me. And if you know what smudging is, or if you don't know, that's when you take sage, which is supposed to cleanse your environment of negativity. They were smudging me with that to get rid of any negativity that was around me. They put feathers in my hair and shells around my neck. And the chief among them said to me, go and continue to tell the truth. Continue to speak the truth. That is what you are to do. This is what my ancestors said to me in a dream, and this was a few months ago. And also, that let me know when I sat down to decipher the dream, they were not only telling me to speak the truth, but the smudging ritual in the dream was to let me know that I am protected by my ancestors. So let me say, no matter what the naysayers say, no matter of those of you who think that I'm hating, that I'm sowing seeds of division, no matter what you say, I will continue to speak the truth. Because that is what needs to be done. And as long as I stand in truth and I don't align myself with lies, then the Most High is going to have my back. The ancestors are going to have my back. And if you don't have my back, then woe be unto ye. Because if you are not with me, that means you're against me. And if you're against someone who is speaking truth to power and has shown the proof and receipts to back it up, and who are speaking out for the voiceless victims who are displaced and left on the streets, then that means you have no problem with the fact that she did this to them. That means that you don't care about homeless Black people, foundational Black Americans left on the street. That means you have no problem with her telling lies and selling fictitious keys and ATM cards and fooling people as if that's going to get them money and as if that's going to get them in touch with the ancestors. And let me say this. She has posted videos and pictures of herself with lots of cash all around and in her hands and all of those things. And she's doing that so that foolishly those of you will believe, some of you who believe in her foolishness, she's doing that so you'll think, oh, she's gaining money by doing these things. So if I do these things, then I'll get money. Let me tell you something. The reason she has all this money is because you're giving it to her for pipe dreams and fantasies that she's selling you. It's a whole con game. The reason she has all of this money all around her is not because anything spiritual is happening. It's because she's fooling people into believing in this stuff that she's selling, these fake ATM cards, these keys and all of that, right? And so she's making all of this money off of you all. She literally said herself, isn't there a video where she talked about she made $100,000 from a webinar? Well, that's where the money's coming from. So don't sit there and think for a minute that this money is coming to her because she's doing spiritual practices. The money is coming to her through her lies and deceit. And I have asked her, challenged her to come on my show to dispute anything that I'm saying, to speak with me face to face or do it in a private Zoom call with another person as a mediator. She's not said anything about that. And she also said herself that only simpletons believe everything they're told. And those of you who believe what she's telling you, that's what you are, a simpleton. She said it, not me. Don't shoot the messenger, because she's not shown any receipts. And let me say this also. She said in one of her videos that it's not her job to show receipts. She made it as if it's her subscribers and the people that stand behind her, that they're supposed to show the receipts. Well, let me say this. Neither her nor her subscribers have shown any receipts to dispute what the Queen has proven. None of them. The only thing that she and her followers say is that I'm a hater. Well, that's getting tired and old and simply pathetic. If that's all you can come up with, wig and beehive and beekeepers, hashtag Vicki Nation, then you need to go back to the drawing board and try again. You need to keep throwing things at the wall and see when something sticks, because that's not going to stick. Because even if I am a hater, as I told you before, the receipts speak for themselves. Now let's get into it. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Like and share, beloveds. So let's talk about this pastor who clearly was being nefarious when he was selling these tickets to heaven. I find it all so interesting that people fall for these things. But you know, as I said to you before, people fall for these things because they want something to believe in. People sometimes need something to believe in. Okay. They deleted my queen as a subscriber, but I am so happy you are back and you are the best. Thank you, Sean, beloved. Thank you for your kind words and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. And let me say, speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up, beloved. All of you, please make sure that you're still subscribed to my channels because they do unsubscribe people sometimes. And when I've reached out to them about this, they simply say that they do it when they think it's a spam account or a bot account and things like that. That's their excuse. But so please make sure that you make sure you're still subscribed, okay? And especially if you haven't been receiving the notifications, okay? So now I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this video of the pastor who was selling tickets to heaven. Mr. Hotel says, Queen, don't forget about the book I bought and how that came full circle with your commentary. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Hotel, beloved. Thank you. I absolutely won't. Now, and as a matter of fact, Mr. Hotel, I would like to drop the link for you. And so you can come on here. You don't have to come on the screen if you don't want to. But if you would be okay with you telling that story, okay? Because I would prefer for you to tell it. All right? And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'll drop the link in a second if you want to come on and tell that story about that. Okay, so here we go.
Forever, us vagina owners have had to apologize for simply having a vagina. And Anna Vera, the only birth control that's annual.
Mwanangu, huu bwana, huu legend huyu. Watu kushare couples day. Yeye pia alishare yake. Akashare. Huyo legend huyo bwana. Huyo bwana legend huyo.
Wasema atuonyeshi receipts kabisa.
Hivyo
Coded that. July ya mwaka. Kati ya miaka yote tumeishi hapa duniani.
Ndio.
July ya mwaka ndio ilikuwa the hottest.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to go to the article because I didn't realize they weren't speaking our language. Kenyatta says, yes, you should definitely share. Talking about alignment. Yes, absolutely, Mr. Hotel. Now, I'm going to have you up here in a moment, but let me pull up this article because I didn't know they were speaking another language. I just happened to see that there was a video about it. But so it's okay. I'll read the article. Because at the end of the day, as I said, there is a very clear similarity between this pastor as well as Miss Vicki Dillard. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go. So now this is what it says, and I'm going to show this on the screen. Let me get rid of these pop-ups. These pop-ups are so annoying. First of all, I want you to see what his tickets to heaven look like, and it says admit one. I find this also interesting. And really, the sad thing is that people actually fall for this. Okay, you all see that. Those are the so-called tickets to heaven. Now, on July the 8th of 2018, this is in Cairo, Pastor Tito Watts, a Zimbabwe-based clergyman, and his wife Amanda were arrested for selling tickets to heaven. According to the police, the pastor and his wife scammed people into buying $500 tickets that shall get them into the gates of heaven with no judgment. Zimbabwean pastor arrested for selling the tickets to heaven. And there you can see the price. And so there seems like there's a Twitter thing or whatever, a Twitter video maybe. But it says, I do not care what people or police are saying about me. This is what the pastor is saying. Pay attention. I do not care what the people or police are saying about me. I am being persecuted because of doing the work of God. I want you to pay attention to that statement because as I told you all days ago, someone likened Wig to Jesus. You all remember me telling you that? They said that she's being persecuted as Jesus. Now I want you to pay attention. The con game is real. Okay, just like this pastor likened himself to doing the work of God, that's what she's doing. And she's very clever and very crafty. And let me tell you something, make no mistake. Vicki Dillard is a very intelligent woman when it comes to deceptive practices. And that's why before I spoke about anything that she was doing, I made sure to gather my receipts because she's very convincing. Let's not forget, she even had me convinced at one point. So pay attention. And I consider myself more savvy than most. Not all, but most. And now if she was able to fool me, not with her tickets to heaven or her ATM cards or keys or any of that, but she was actually able to make me think that she was actually doing the real work and that she really had an interest in helping Black people. I see the opposite in her now. But let me continue. So this is what he goes on to say. I am being persecuted because of doing the work of God. Now, Jesus Christ appeared to me and gave me the tickets made of pure gold so that I could sell to people who want salvation. Now, this again reminds me of wig because I want you to pay attention. When she said, and I told my moderators this months ago, when she started talking about having webinars charging people to activate their DNA, I said to them, and I probably said it online too, I said, if someone was given, because she said she received downloads, right? That's what she said. Downloads come from the Most High. So she's literally was saying that she received downloads from the Most High and giving her the ability to activate our DNA. Well, here's the thing. If the Most High had actually given her the ability to activate anyone's DNA, well, then the question becomes, why would she be selling it? Why wouldn't she just give it for free? Did the Most High charge her for it? No. So why would she then turn around and sell it to Black people? You see, if I was able to activate everyone's DNA, as I told you, I do it for free. Why would I charge you? Why would I charge you? That would benefit all of us. If she really cared about Black people and she could activate your DNA, honey, she would do it for free. Just as my spiritual teachings that I give are for free. That's all I'm saying. Pay attention to that. Now, he said, this foolish pastor, that Jesus Christ appeared before him, showed him the golden tickets, and told him to sell them. Does that even make sense? The Most High, Jesus, whatever you want to call your higher power, would never give you something to benefit others and then tell you to charge them for it. Okay? That's the first step of the card. When they want money, when anyone is asking for money for salvation, when anyone is asking for money for you to get truth, for you to communicate with ancestors, for you to get supernatural powers, DNA activated, that's all a con game. Anyone who really was capable of doing those things would never charge you for it. All right? So he says that Jesus Christ appeared and gave him the tickets made of pure gold so that I could sell them to people who want salvation. What made Jesus appear to him and give the tickets specifically to him? Is he so righteous and holy? Is that the reason they were given to him? As you should also ask yourself, what makes Wig so righteous and holy that the Most High would give her the downloads? You mean the Most High wouldn't give it to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or someone of his status and stature? Someone who we know is doing the work and who has continued to do so for decades? You mean to tell me that the Most High would give downloads that could activate our DNA to Vicki Wig Dillard rather than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? Is that what we're supposed to think? Let me continue. News reports claim thousands of people are protesting the pastor's arrest, just as thousands of people are protesting Queen coming out and exposing Wig. I want you to pay attention. Now, they called on the police to release him immediately, just as some people are calling on the Queen to stop exposing Wig. But I will not be deterred on my mission. You see, this is the work of the Most High, exposing the charlatans, the false prophets amongst us. That's what the Most High's job entails. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not out here selling you anything. I'm not making money off of this. And in fact, I may be losing subscribers. I actually have my channel banned, my main channel right now. So do you think this is something that I would just be doing just to keep up mess? Now, Watts told those who sought salvation that the tickets were made from solid gold and that each ticket reserved the buyer a place in heaven. Police reports say that the tickets are actually made of gold-coated wood. Gold-coated wood. And what were those ATM tickets, ATM cards that she gave to people and sold to them? They looked like they were made of construction paper that was laminated, nonetheless. And I've already shown you with the proof that those keys that she sold for $27 actually came from Amazon. All right? Now, wood coated with gold coated wood with ticket to heaven, admit one written on it. So I'm sorry, how does that even make sense? Now here it says, according to Inside Story, this was Watts' police statement. The pastor, this is what he said in his police statement. I don't care what the police say. The tickets are solid gold. It ain't cut up 2x4s that I spray painted gold. Still lying, even after the scam has been exposed. Same thing Wig is doing. Even after I've exposed her con game and I've shown the receipts, she's still lying. Pay attention. There's a special type of people that do these things. And I don't mean special in a good way. Now, And it was Jesus who gave them to me behind the KFC and said to sell them so I could get some more money to go to outer space. I met an alien named Stevie who said if I got the cash together, he'd take me and my wife on his flying saucer to his planet that's made entirely of crack cocaine. Now, at this point, I want you to remember, this pastor has been arrested and charged. What he's now doing is trying to play crazy. Now he's trying to talk real crazy so the police think he has mental health issues. That's all it is. Let me continue. You can smoke all the crack cocaine that you want, totally free. So try to send an innocent man to jail and see what happens. You should arrest Jesus because he's the one that gave me the golden tickets and said to sell them. I'm willing to wear a wire and set Jesus up. I absolutely cannot. Now you all see the similarities. Now I've already shown you how the things that she's doing are the same exact things that Peter Popoff was doing. I mean, same thing. Having fake testimonials and all of that. Okay? Please make it all make sense. Queen, what do you think about putting your content on Michi X's network or even getting your own network? Screw shadow banning your wisdom. Thank you, beloved. Yes, I'm glad you asked that, beloved, because I absolutely am getting my own network. That's in the makings right now. I'm absolutely going to get one of those streaming networks. And in fact, Michi is the one that told me how to get it all started and helped me and gave me the information on that. And shout out to her for that. But yes, I'm absolutely going to do that. Thank you, beloved. And thank you for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. You, Vicki, and Jesus get a room. Okay, so with that all being said, I want to show you also another story that one of my subscribers sent to me. That is very much along the lines of what Wig is in fact doing. Now, this happened in Atlanta. And what I want you to pay attention to is they're going to show in this story that I'm about to show, they're going to show the victims of this fraud, Black people, foundational Black Americans. They're going to show what they have to say and how they were left feeling. And I want you to remember and ask yourselves, how do you think Wig's victims were left feeling? Vicki Dillard, how do you think her victims were left feeling after this was done to them and by someone they trusted? Now, remember, she was calling herself a prophetess. She was heavily involved in the church. And these people, many of them were church members. How do you think they felt? And I want you to also pay attention to the fact that the pastor who did this, he was the man who did this with the heaven tickets. He was a pastor. Vicki called herself a prophetess. Peter Popoff is a pastor. The reason I'm bringing this up is because they pray. They specifically prey on people that are religious because they know that people with religious beliefs have a inherent need, a want, a desire to believe in something. And that's why they target these people. They wouldn't target someone like the Queen. I have too much critical thinking skills, common sense, and I know how to decipher, because I'm very intuitive, bullshit from reality. Okay? So with that all being said, let's go to the footage. Everyone, please get those likes up. Please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already.
New tonight, the feds have shut down a woman who calls herself Grant Babe, who they say was really a scam artist. Regulators say that she wrote fake grants for Black small business owners, cheating them out of thousands of dollars.
Tonight, we're hearing from one of her alleged victims here in the Atlanta metro area. Fox 5's Rob D'Arienzo is in Powder Springs tonight with her story.
I'm hurt. I really would like to just ask her, like, why would you do this to someone who you said that you were going to help? Why would you do this to us?
And that's a question a lot of people who called on Grant Bay to help get small business funding want answered.
I was out there looking for a grant writer. I came across Grant Bay, and she was really saying that she was helping minorities to really help get funding.
KB Hunt is a life coach in Powder Springs. She says in hopes of using the grant money to grow her business, she dropped over $2,000 on Grant Bay.
So she was like, oh my God, you're a perfect person, you know, for this program.
In return, she was guaranteed at minimum $50,000 in grant money. The priciest package listed on the website, $7,000, guaranteed a minimum of $250,000 in grants.
I got the email saying, congratulations, you are approved for a grant. So I was excited, like, yes.
But when Hunt clicked on the link, it didn't work.
That was my first initial red flag, like something just in my gut didn't feel right.
Then another email, and another. None of the links to the grant she was supposedly awarded worked. Dozens of complaints with the Better Business Bureau say the same thing. Last week, a federal court ordered Grant Bay, real name Treshana Graham, to stop doing what she's doing. The Federal Trade Commission claims that she targeted black small business owners with the scam. We reached out to Graham for comment, but we didn't hear anything back. For months, Hunt says, nor has she.
To only see that she turned around and she's taking money from her own community, the reason it's already tough for us to get funding.
In Powder Springs, Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
And so you all see that. Another con game. Another con game perpetuated on black people. And let me just say this to you, beloveds. You see, when our own people perpetuate these con games and scams and frauds and deceptive tactics, they always do it to our people. They don't do this to the Mzungus. No, they do this to our people. And the reason they do this to our people is because they know if they got caught doing this to the others, they would be put under the prison. They know this, okay? They absolutely know this. That's all I'm saying. And so with that all being said, hold on. Yeah, so anyway, with that all being said, they know these things. And so they want to play these little games with their own people because they also know that black people are much more susceptible to falling for it and much more likely to believe it. Now, if they tried this with white folk, they would be looking at them with a whole side eye. That's all I'm saying. Not that they don't fall for these things, they do. But when it's somebody like Peter Popoff, they'll fall for it. Now, Wig couldn't fool them so easily. So she does this against her own people. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Yeah, so at the end of the day, you know, like I said, the victims are the ones we should be concerned with. This isn't about me. This isn't about YouTube beef or any of those things. I'm about to send you this link, Mr. Hotel. I'm going to email it to you right now. Feel free to join the live, whether if you'd like to. So you can tell exactly what you pointed out to me the other day. Okay. Okay, so I just sent that. Now, with that all being said, Empowered Woman says, if Vicki had a direct connection to the Most High, why didn't he give her a key to avoiding a federal conviction? Exactly. I said that numerous of times, that if she was so prophetic, well, why didn't she know that she was going to go to federal prison? I'm just curious, right? Why didn't she know she was going to get caught? I'm just curious. That's all I'm trying to say. So with that all being said, I'm going to show you all. Mr. Hotel should be joining in a moment. But I'm going to show you all some more receipts. There he is. Let me add him to the stream. Hey, beloveds.
Hey, Queen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Good. I'm doing well. I'm sorry I look a little bit of a mess. My dad exercising at the track, but you know, I'm always
that's okay. You look fine.
Here for the lives for the Queen. So I just pulled over right now, beloved. Just here too.
Thank you.
Say hi, Dad.
Hey, how you doing? Hello, nice to see you.
Good.
Okay, so now share with everyone what you were saying about the books and how that aligned with what I've been telling everyone about Vicki.
Yes, absolutely. So, family, let me just mention this. I've said before, when Queen brought me on last week, I was saying that Kenyatta, who was my best friend, we were drawn to. No idea that she had any connection with Vicki, that she had known Vicki before. We were just we saw the kind of content that she was posting, and we loved it. Family, when I had mentioned after that, when I had said, when we were told specifically to pick a side, even after we unsubscribed from Queen, we still continue to Queen. We still continue to receive her notifications for her videos, and after we unsubscribe. So I bring all that up to say that, and when you're aligned in the correct way, it will never ever leave. You can't fake that. You can't fool around with that. You can't alter it. There's no way you can do that. So now let me share with you guys what I just shared with. So right at the beginning, when Kenyatta and I first started to notice the and you know, come to find out now, fast forwarding, it's always, we didn't have anything to compare it to. So for us, this was new behavior, her switching up on us. Beginning stages, when Kenyatta and I first noticed that, again, anything to Angel before Angel confirmed all of it for me. So prior to this, it was the end of May, and I have a couple of online libraries saved to my Instagram. So I was scrolling and I saw a post by one of the libraries, and they series of books, and one of the books in the series was a 48. So I said, you know what, I need to purchase these books because much content, you know, to the books that I already have, so that I can stay aligned with. I haven't even opened up the 48. You know, I haven't opened up that book yet. So again, I'm always driven by spirit. I'm always driven by do it. So when I saw that post telling me to purchase that series of books, I purchased. I'll come to find out, when Queen did her broadcast last week, and she had mentioned as soon as she ended that broadcast, I said, oh, I gotta go on Amazon and go and get this. As soon as I looked up the book and I pulled it up, I had already had it. So spirit already placed that book in my life, knowing that I would need it to refer back to it for when Queen mentioned that 27th power of the 48. And just so that you guys know, I can't device, but I sent the receipt to Queen. Those books were delivered to me on May 2, the week before. This was when Wig started acting up. So I tell you guys that even when you're in a situation where you may be thrown off of a line, always speaking to you and telling you to do certain things, and those are to listen. I purchased those books not knowing that I would need them and to open and look. What happened? You can't fake this.
Absolutely. Thank you, beloved. And I'm glad. I wanted you to tell your story. And some of them were saying the audio is a little choppy. So I'm going to reiterate everything that you said, but I want to thank you for coming on. All right. And I would also like to add that Mr. Hotel's father, who's in the car with him, he also was a big supporter of Vicki. Okay.
Yes.
And I can only imagine your disappointment. Now, this is an elder also. So my whole thing is this. We have to protect our elders from people that are coming out there as wolves in sheep's clothing. Okay, this is very detrimental, and this is something very important that we have to talk about. And because I'm passionate about it, and I'm not letting up, and I'm not going to, because I said she's not giving any atonement for the wrongs that she's done. She left people homeless on the streets, and that really hurts me deep in my soul, and that's why I'm talking about it. All these times that she has hated on me and done things against me with subliminals and all that, I never just came out and exposed her. I've always had these receipts for over a year and a half. I never brought forth these receipts. I brought forward these receipts when I found out what she actually was still doing. that she's
Mhm.
still doing this whole con. And that when she was so malicious,
Absolutely.
yes, and when she was so malicious as to post people's private, information, social security numbers, and all of those things online, have someone to make fraudulent, documents about someone on a dating site doing things and conning people out of money, all of that, those are the fake documents. And as I said, me and Angel know that those documents are fake at the end of the day. That's already been proven behind the scenes, but you'll see soon enough the truth of all that. My whole thing is this: if you did things in the past and you gave atonement for it and you moved on, that's one thing. We can forgive you. Black people are the most forgiving. We all have done things in our past. None of us is a saint. We all fall short from the glory of God. But at the end of the day, when you continue to be a person who preys on our community, you have to be called out. And I find it
Absolutely.
interesting that some people are angry at me for doing this. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay, so I'm going to let you go, Mr. Hotel. You and your father have a
Okay.
blessed and lovely day. Thank you both for being
Thank
on
you so
here.
much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ab-
All right, thank you,
you,
beloved.
Queen.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And so with that all being said, and for those of you who were complaining about the choppiness of his audio, let me just reiterate what he was saying. So you may remember that days ago when I was talking about a wig, I said that she was using the 27th law from the 48 laws of power. She was using that on her people. That is the law where you play upon people's need to believe in something and you play upon their fantasies, and you do this and it allows you to gain power and control over these people. As we can clearly see, some of her people are going in on me. Yes, she's a predator, TM1. Absolutely, she is. And here's the thing. I also told you that her using the 27th power, or the 27th law of power, that basically enables a person like her to create a cult-like following. And that's what she has done. She's no different than Nature Boy. Now, she hasn't gone out and, assaulted anyone or anything like that. But what I'm saying is it's no different. And then in the way that he gets people, his cult, it's no different than the way he gets them to stick behind him no matter what. He's currently in jail, arrested on nefarious charges, and his people are still standing behind him. Okay, even with proof and receipts, even with one of their own speaking against him. You see, this is the same scenario. Even with people who were fans, subscribers, and donators of hers, even with them speaking out, there are still some that will continue to ignore the facts. And that's because they suffer sadly from cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you see proof and receipts and evidence, and when the case has clearly been presented before you, but you ignore all of that. Because for some of us, we would rather be ignorant to the facts. That's why they say ignorance is bliss. Some of them are happy, not realizing or not wanting to accept that she's a whole predator, that she's running a whole hustle, a con. And they'd rather bash and lash out at me for exposing this, because in doing so, I'm tearing down the fantasy, the facade, the foolish beliefs that they have held for so long. Now, and here's another thing I need to bring out. The reason I felt that it was so important to bring up her case is not because she did that in the past, not just for that reason, but because she has gone on this campaign for the whole time that she's been on YouTube. She's continuously said that she was an activist, that she was fighting for Black people, right? That she was framed, that the government came after her because of her activism, when none of that's true. As I told you before, if that was true, why did she have a whole list of co-conspirators, including her ex-husband? Why did she have a whole list of co-conspirators? Why are there numerous victims? Why did 50 people stand against her as witnesses in court? Do you know how long it takes for 50 people to gather up, collectively get 50 people to stand against someone? Do you know what kind of nefarious actions a person had to have taken for the state to go after them and bring 50 witnesses to testify against them? Have you all thought about that? Have you marinated on the severity of this whole thing? And I also want you to know that there was numerous articles about what she did. And do you know why that was? Why there were so many articles? because what she did severely impacted Denver, Colorado. It severely impacted Denver, Colorado. It left some neighborhoods in the black, meaning homes that were foreclosed on and people had to leave and relocate. This was very significant what she did. That's why in the court documents that I showed, it called her and her den of thieves, as I call them, it likened them to a sophisticated fraud ring. That means they were no amateurs. They were professionals at what they did. They were a sophisticated fraud ring. And she was a mastermind. That's why she's taught those mastermind classes. Honey, she's no joke. She's nothing to shake a stick at. You cannot underestimate her level of intellect as it comes to talking about and doing and carrying out nefarious actions. So I understand why some people don't want to hear what I'm saying. I understand why some people want to say that this is hate. I understand because some people are clearly under her spell. Let us not forget that she did rituals in those webinars, that she had people performing incantations, and that she also said that she had chanted over those keys and things that she then sold to people. Let's not forget that Ashara said when she removed it from her neck, a heaviness was lifted, a weight was lifted. That lets me know, as it should you, that there was something malevolent attached to the things that she sold. There was some type of witchcraft likely used in it. And so therefore, some of these people are still under her spell. And so they will not listen to what the queen is saying. And that's okay. What I'm here to do is to stop any more people who are on the right path and who are religious and all of that from being taken down a road to destruction that involves witchcraft, dark arts, satanic practices, incantations, and all of the above. And also a loss of their good hard-earned money by them being sold foolish things like tickets to heaven and keys to the ancestries and activations of DNA that absolutely do not work. All right, so let me go ahead and show these next receipts. Everyone, please get those likes up. Please like and share. Now, as I read from these court documents, as I read from these things, I may explain some of it to you because a lot of this stuff is in legalese. And so the average person, unless they know about the law or whatever, may not understand some of the terms that are used, such as pro se and things of that nature. So I'll be explaining those things. As I told you before, I have a very good knowledge of the law. Miss Dillard has not come forward with any evidence on this point. Hold on, let me scroll up just a bit. Okay, so assuming, however, that the first element of Strickland was established, the second is not. So this is a case that she was trying to use in court to liken it to her own. So they say, Miss Dillard, the second element requires Miss Dillard to demonstrate that. But for her counsel's entry into stipulation, there is a reasonable probability that the outcome of the proceedings might have been different. Here's the fact that Miss Dillard's counsel stipulated to where the transactions involved in the wire fraud counts made use of interstate wires. Now, to show that her counsel's entry into such a stipulation prejudiced her defense, Ms. Dillard must therefore show that she had evidence to the contrary, that the transaction did not make use of interstate wires, or at the very minimum, that the government did not have the ability to prove the use of interstate wires. Now, let me explain that. Let me just explain something to you. What they're basically saying is that she was trying to say that her counsel was ineffective. She was also trying to say that she had not engaged in interstate wire fraud. You know, they had charged her with 8 counts of wire fraud and bank fraud. Okay. So she was trying to dispute that. Now it goes on to say, hold on, let me find my place. that she came forward with no evidence to substantiate what she was in fact saying. Hold on. Let me skip past this and go down. Now, Ms. Dillard makes several highly generalized allegations of ineffective assistance by her trial counsel, but none warrant extended discussion. She contends that post-conviction, Mr. Pepin failed to verify certain information relating to the identities of victims and the amount of the loss. However, Mr. Pepin did not represent her at the time of the sentencing, making it impossible to show the ineffectiveness. By him prejudiced her sentencing. She contends that Mr. Pepin failed to call any experts in her defense after promising her that he would. But she fails to identify what facts that any such experts would have testified to, nor shown how the absence of such testimony affected the result of the trial. She contends that her counsel did not call other witnesses who would have debunked and completely discredited the government's claims, offering as example her ex-husband, Jamaica Crow. But the record reflects that Mr. Crow was her sometime co-conspirator. He was a co-conspirator with Ms. Dillard on several of the transactions at issue. And thus, any favorable testimony that Mr. Crow might have offered would necessarily subject to concerns as to how the jury might assess his credibility. As such, Ms. Dillard's trial counsel's decision not to call Mr. Crow in her defense is clearly strategic, a strategic decision that cannot amount to effectiveness or ineffectiveness. Now, let me just break that down real quick. So basically, here's the thing. Now I want y'all to pay attention. I'm going to stop the share for a second. I want you all to pay attention because, again, it's in legalese. So let me just explain to you what I'm saying. Basically, she tried to say that she had ineffective counsel during the trial, and that's the reason she was convicted. And so she brought that forward when she was talking about her appeal. She wanted to appeal their decision and on the basis of ineffective counsel. But Mr. Pepin, the counsel she was referring to, was not even her attorney during the sentencing. So he basically had nothing to do with that. Another thing is, she said that they didn't call expert witnesses as he had said he would. She said that they didn't call any other witnesses who could have debunked what the state was claiming. And she referred to her husband at the time. Well, the thing is this, you cannot expect them to call a co-conspirator and give any credence to what you've said. You see, because the co-conspirator has helped you in your crime. So if a co-conspirator who helped you in the crime gets up on the stand to testify on your behalf, the jury is not going to likely believe that, because this person, they're going to question their credibility. They're going to question this person's motives. They've done the same thing you've done, and in fact, they've done it with you and conspired with you. Why would the jury listen to anything they say? So it was very strategic for her defense counsel not to call him, because they knew it wasn't going to do any good. And I want you to also pay attention that they said she made all these allegations of ineffective counsel and whatnot, but at the end of the day, she didn't have any evidence to back it up. Just as today in 2022, she has no evidence to back up or dispute what I'm saying. All she has is lip service. All she has is mere words. Agents are coming against her. These people are not black. They're against us. They're traitors. They're black-looking people. That's all talk. And another thing I want you to pay attention to is that when I first started exposing her, she said it was rumors and gossip. This is far from gossip, beloveds. When you have court documents and receipts to prove what you're accusing a person of, it's not gossip. It's not rumors. You see, I don't engage in gossip and rumors. I engage in facts, and I bring the proof to show that. And when I have something to say that's my opinion and not facts, I will clearly tell you, this is just my opinion. I can't substantiate that. And the reason I do that is because I'm very skilled at the law. So I always choose my words carefully. And if I always choose my words carefully and I have a very good knowledge of the law, do you think that I would be stupid enough to get up here and say these things against her when I have no proof, or when these things are fraudulent and I just made up these documents? Please. Royal Jukebox says, keep calling her out. I absolutely will. I absolutely will. So now, with that all being said, now I showed you all this document. Let me just show you where this comes from. Okay, United States versus V. Crow. And here's the thing. She often told people that she fought this herself, that she fought the case herself. That's right. Mr. Hotel says this is not gossip. Exactly. These are facts. Miss me with it. Absolutely, beloved. Now, she has said numerous times that she fought her case herself. And she did, in fact, file the paperwork for the foreclosures that she was fighting. She did stand on her own and fight that. Because if you remember, I showed you the receipts where they even said that the attorneys, she had a better knowledge of foreclosure law than some of the attorneys. That tells me that she's smart. That tells me that she's strategic, that she's calculated and very cunning. And that should also tell you that's what makes her very convincing. That's why some of y'all don't want to believe that she's done these things, because she's very skilled at what she does. This woman is no amateur. And so for you, for people to say and believe that I'm just hating on her, well, I absolutely get it. I understand why people think that, because she's feeding them this and she's very convincing. But she can't convince someone who is skilled in knowledge of the law. And that's why, here's the thing I want you to pay attention to. She also said something about in the court work, in the paperwork, she also said something about she didn't mean to do any harm, or she didn't know that she was causing, doing anything illegal, basically. And the judge absolutely didn't believe it, nor did the prosecutor nor the jury, because they knew if she's so smart that she knows more about foreclosure law than some of these attorneys, that means she absolutely knew everything else that she was doing. So for her to come and act as if she's so intelligent and then try to play dumb, that didn't work. Okay, that's why her motion was denied. All right. I also showed you all the proof and receipts days ago where she tried to get her records sealed. Now, why would she want her records sealed? And another thing is, she said to you all on her lives that her case was public knowledge. Well, if it's public knowledge, why now is she complaining when I'm talking about it? Why now is she saying that it's fraudulent documents? You know why she's saying that, beloveds? Because she knows that I have the actual proof and receipts that can absolutely put the nail in her coffin, that can absolutely expose her, as I'm doing, for every lie that she's been telling, for every con that she's been running. She knows that. So the only thing she can do is try to make you all believe that I'm lying, that I'm a whole agent, that I'm being fraudulent. If I was an agent, as I said before, my main channel wouldn't be banned right now. You all don't think it's more than a coincidence that as soon as I start going in on her, all of a sudden my channel's banned? Please miss me with it. That should speak for itself right then and there. But again, this is not about me. This is about the countless victims of her nefarious deeds. So let me, bear with me for a moment, because I'm going to go back to these receipts. Because there's something specific that I want to point out. And just give me a moment to find my place, because these documents are lengthy. Okay, these are very lengthy. It's the entirety of her case. All right. So I have to go through here carefully to pick out certain things that I want to bring to your attention, just to further prove my case. And here's the part right here. Let me get to it. I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. And there's a very good reason why I'm sharing my screen with you all. I've been sharing my screen with you all to see the documents. She's hating Queen because you're authentic and she's a whole fraud without positive gifts. Thank you, Ashley, beloved. Thank you. And here's the thing. I have been sharing the documents on the screen so that you all can see that they're authentic. Now, if I was running a whole con game or just lying on her, I wouldn't even bother to share this stuff on the screen. When I read from articles during my broadcast, I don't usually put the articles up on the screen unless there's a video or something that I want you to see, or some photos or whatever. So I could have been doing the same thing. I'm purposely showing you the documents on the screen so that you know this is not anything that I'm just making up. All right. Now, I want you to listen to this, because it says In the period between her conviction and sentence, Ms. Dillard filed the instant pro se motion of judgment of acquittal. Pro se means to act alone in one's own behalf. That's legalese. Pro se means that she filed this herself, for herself, by herself, without the aid of counsel. Okay? So when she said that she fought her case by herself, well, in some aspects she did. As I told you, she filed the foreclosure proceeding documents and all of that. She filed each of those by herself without counsel. And she was very skilled at it because she knew what to do, because she's a whole con. Pay attention. Now, with that all being said, in the period between her conviction and sentence, Ms. Dillard filed the instant pro se motion for judgment of acquittal. That motion, filed shortly after the court granted Ms. Dillard's trial counsel's request to withdraw from her continued representations. That contends that her trial counsel had provided her ineffective assistance in violation of the Sixth Amendment in several aspects, or several respects. The government filed a timely response, and Ms. Dillard, through newly appointed counsel, filed a reply. So basically, she got new counsel and got rid of the old counsel. Now, immediately following her sentencing and remand, Ms. Dillard filed a pro se motion for release, which the court interprets as a motion seeking release on bond pending her appeal. The grounds stated in the motion are essentially the same as those stated in Ms. Dillard's motion for judgment of acquittal. Typically, the court does not entertain. Now, I want y'all to really listen to this part. Typically, the court does not entertain pro se filings by a criminal defendant who is at the time represented by counsel. The Sixth Amendment to the United States Constitution guarantees a defendant the right to enjoy the assistance of counsel, or the right to forego such assistance and proceed pro se. But the Constitution does not create an interstitial right for a defendant to proceed through counsel for some matters and to represent herself pro se with regard to others. So let's talk about that for a moment. Let me just break that down. So here's what she was doing. And again, she was very sophisticated in this. What she was trying to do, in other words, is that she had counsel. Okay, she absolutely had counsel. Now, she got rid of her previous counsel and she got new counsel. But she was filing some of the documents pro se. The court usually doesn't allow criminals to do that if you have counsel. Because if you're pro se, that means you're by yourself, for yourself, and on your own behalf. If someone wants to represent themselves in court, they have the ability to do so. That's their decision. But what you can't do as a criminal is get in front of the court and say, and have counsel, have your attorneys there, but you're still trying to file pro se actions. Okay, that wasn't smart on her behalf. You see, you can't say that I'm pro se or I'm impropria persona and then have counsel that is standing there to help you and guide you. You don't get to cherry pick what part of the court case you want your attorneys to speak and argue, and then what part you want to argue yourself, which is what she was trying to do. And that in itself should speak volumes. Obviously, she thought that she was smarter in some aspects than her own attorneys. Now, that's what it was. And just like she thinks she's smarter than the queen. And so she thinks that when I continue to expose her, she can just come behind me and try to discredit me by saying that I'm a hater and that I'm lying and showing false documents and all of that. She thinks that that'll work, even though she's not showing any proof to substantiate her claims, just as she had no proof to substantiate her claims in court. Pay attention. It didn't work then, and it's not going to work now. That's all I'm saying. Now, let me go to another part of this document. Everyone, please get the likes up. Please like and share. I think this is it right here. Hold on. Hold on, beloveds. Okay, here we go. I think this is where I need to start. Yeah, so here we go right here. Now let me share my screen. Make sure you all can see that. Okay. So we're going to start right here where it says Miss Dillard. Miss Dillard makes several other highly generalized allegations of ineffective assistance by her trial counsel, but none warrant extended discussion. Okay, so then it goes to talk about Mr. Pepin. Did I already read this part? I'm going to skip down to where it says she contends that Mr. Pepin failed to call out the experts. I think I already read this part. I think I already read that. Okay. So let's go to this motion for bond. Now, the court understands Ms. Dillard's remaining motion to seek release on bond pending appeal pursuant to 18 U.S.C. Statute 3143, assuming without necessarily finding that the court has jurisdiction to consider the motion as a notice of appeal has not yet been filed, the court would nevertheless find the motion to be without merit. Ms. Dillard, having now been sentenced, is presumptively required to be detained pending an appeal. And the burden is on Ms. Dillard to show that there is a substantial likelihood that a motion for acquittal or new trial will be granted, or that clear and convincing evidence demonstrates that she is not likely to flee or pose a danger to the community while an appeal proceeds. This was all about her bond, whether or not they were going to give her bond is what they're basically talking about. Now, as to the former requirements, the likelihood that a motion for judgment of acquittal, new trial be granted, Ms. Dillard relies on the motion discussed above because the court has now rejected the contentions in that motion, and Ms. Dillard has not identified any other potentially meritorious grounds for seeking a judgment of acquittal or a new trial, meaning she didn't have a leg to stand on as far as them giving her a new trial or an acquittal. And so she had no ground to stand on. She has not carried her burden under 18 U.S.C. Statute 3143. And as to the likelihood that Ms. Dillard will pose a danger to the community, now I want y'all to pay attention to this. Hold on. Now, as to the likelihood that Ms. Dillard will pose a danger to the community, the court made explicit findings on that point when granting the government's motion for an immediate remand of Ms. Dillard into the custody of the Bureau of Prisons. And Ms. Dillard's motion for bail does not address, much less refute, any of those findings. So basically, they said she was a danger to the public. And they remanded her immediately into the custody of the Bureau of State Prisons. That's what they said. Another thing, and feel free to research anything that I'm telling you. Like I said, file a Freedom of Information Act if you can't find the information yourself. Now, another thing is this, and I'm going to show you some screenshots from one of the documents and the reason I did screenshots is because I didn't want to be doing what I'm doing now, scrolling through and looking for specifics. So what I did was I screenshot some of the documents. And again, that's why I'm telling you, you can go look this up. I screenshot some of it so that I would be able to just go right to it, not have to keep scrolling and scrolling because that takes up time. But here's the thing. In some of the documents, it actually said another thing that she did was that either Ms. Dillard or herself, this is exactly how they said it, either Ms. Dillard or herself broke into some of the properties and changed the locks. The skeleton key, pay attention, broke in and changed the locks. Either she did it or she got someone to do it. That's what they said. Now, keep in mind that I told you also in the first receipts that I dropped, her ex-husband, whose name is Jamaica Crow, I said there was also a man that I found information on whose name is Jamaica Jamal Crow. Now, I can't prove if he's the same person as her husband, but that name is very not a common name. Jamaica Jamal Crow, Jamaica Crow, that's not a common name in my opinion. So, but it did say, and I showed you the receipts, that this person named Jamaica Jamal Crow was charged with breaking into the homes of Denver Broncos players. And it also would have to be more than a coincidence that this person named Jamaica Jamal Crow actually was operating his nefarious actions out of Denver, where she was. So it's safe to assume this is her husband, but again, I can't prove it. So, and as I said, if I can't prove it, I'm going to let you know that. So this person may or may not have been the same Jamaica Crow that they talk about in the proceedings, but there was a Jamaica Jamal Crow who broke into homes of Denver Broncos football team players. And then also in the court documents about Vicki Dillard, aka Wig, it said that either herself or someone she got to do this broke into those homes. So we could say that if she has a husband who was breaking into homes, more likely than not, she got him to break into those homes and change those locks. That's all I'm saying. All right. Like I said, I can't substantiate that, but I absolutely believe that was the case. Now I'm going to pull up some of these screenshots of the documents. And as I said, I only screenshot them so that I don't have to keep scrolling through, as I just had to do. So likes up, everyone, please like and share. Okay. The government's second witness was Edward Klinjunik, an inspector employed by the United States Postal Inspection Service. And I told you about him before. I showed this to you on the other documents. So I'm going to scroll down to where it says Klinjunik testified that for a majority of the loans at issue, he was able to identify the actual unpaid principal balance for the first and second mortgages, but on several was unable to obtain an unpaid principal balance for the second mortgage. Consequently, he testified for the latter group of loans, he took the payments that Crow made, that she made on the first mortgage. Okay. Now, with that all being said, let me say this also. She said on one of her lives, as was told to me by someone, they said that she was on a live talking about all she did was buy 19 homes or 19 properties. Well, she did, but she bought them fraudulently. That's why she went to prison. And she's trying to act as though that's all she did, right? Now, Hendrick opined, now I want you all to pay attention, because this is proving what I just said about the foreclosures, how she defended herself on that, and how she was very skilled in it, because she's a whole criminal. Okay. And it takes a very sharp mastermind to know all about foreclosure law, honey. This is not something that's just something you walk through the park. That's why the fact that they say that she was more skilled at it than some of the attorneys present, that speaks volumes. That lets you know that she is a very good criminal. Hendrick opined that Crow knew foreclosure law better than most of the opposing attorneys that Hendrick regularly encountered. Now, further, Hendrick testified that in the midst of the foreclosure proceedings, Crow either personally or through someone else broke into each of the 7 properties, rekeyed them, and rented them to someone else. Now, I want you to think about that. Think about your mother or your grandmother or your grandfather or your father. You think about them being in a home and someone causes them to lose their home and it's going into foreclosure. Meanwhile, someone who's trying to fatten their pockets because they love cash, they break into the home, rekey it, and then rent it out to someone else. Now, of course, this person isn't supposed to be renting this home because it's under foreclosure. So then here come the police, whomever, and they tell these people who've paid money to rent this property, you got to get out of here. This is under foreclosure. It belongs to the bank. What are you doing here? Well, I gave my money to Vicki Dillard, or I gave my money to Thaddeus Jackson, or I gave my money to Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Well, that person isn't in charge of this home, so they had no business taking your money. That's fraud, and you have to get out. You understand how this is victimizing people? Do you understand the gravity of this? That's all I'm saying. So just imagine if it were you and you took the last of your money and you gave it to someone so you could rent a property only for someone to come knocking on your door telling you, you can't be renting this. If you paid money, I'm sorry, that's your problem. But that person who rented this to you, they don't even have the ability to do so because it's not even their property. Now, rekeyed them and rented them to someone else. The government's second witness was Edward Kiljonich, an inspector employed by the United States Postal Service. We already talked about him. But he was assigned to investigate Crow and her activities in May of 2007. He then compiled a list of Crow's financial institution victims. Her victims. So how's this that she was just buying properties? If she was just buying properties, she wouldn't have victims. So he compiled a list of Crow's financial institution victims and their associated losses because they lost their homes. They lost their properties. They lost their money. Okay? Victims. It's clearly nefarious. And that's why I'm still going in and exposing. Now, Klajonic, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I'm sure I'm not. But you all see what it says. K-L-J-U-N-I-C-H. Klajonic testified that for a majority of the loans at issue, that's what basically they were saying she was doing. All right? Clearly nefarious, as I said. Now, I'm going to share my screen and show this document also. And again, pay attention. These are, Jawara says, a low down dirty shame. Absolutely. Now, again, this is another screenshot of a document that I've already shown you. And again, if you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to me if you want me to send you the documents. I will gladly email them to you. All right? Now, I can't email them to everybody. But if some of you want me to email them to you, I can. You can also file a Freedom of Information Act, which I prefer you do that, just so you know for a fact that they're legit. Now, here it says, procedural background. After Crow's scheme fell apart, she was indicted by a federal grand jury on 8 counts of mail fraud in violation with 18 U.S.C. Statute 1341 and 2 counts of 8 counts of wire fraud in violation of 18 U.S.C. Statute 1343 and 2. Crow pleaded not guilty and the case proceeded to trial. At trial, Crow asserted that she had acted without the intent to defraud, saying that she wasn't trying to do anything wrong. She didn't know she was doing anything wrong. That's basically what she said. Acted without the intent to defraud. Now, at the conclusion of all the evidence, however, the jury found Crow guilty of all 16 charges alleged in the indictment. So, with that all being said, that's important to note too, because like I already told you, the reason when she sat there and tried to act like she didn't know she was doing anything wrong, the reason we know, and they knew, and that's why she was found guilty, the reason they knew that was a lie is because any woman who can walk into a courtroom and defend themselves against foreclosure or, file these foreclosure documents and fight these foreclosures and do so better than many attorneys, well, they're very skilled and quite more clever than most and many. So then to sit there and say that you didn't know you were doing anything wrong, well, they knew that was a whole load of BS. Okay? They knew that was a whole load of BS. So that's all I'm saying. My thing is this. Let's not shoot the messenger. Let's not get mad at the queen, because all I'm doing is exposing truth to power at the end of the day. That's all I'm doing. That's all I have ever done. It's not that I set out and said, oh, let me just be malicious and start hating on her and just accusing her. Because if that were the case, well, why didn't any of these people who are coming at me now have the same energy when I exposed young Pharaoh, Brother Polite, Black Lives Matter? I'm just curious. Why didn't they say anything then? And here's another thing I want to point out also. For those that talk about division and all those things, as I told you, leaders haven't always gotten along. There's always been leaders that went against each other. Let's talk about it. W.E.B. Du Bois did not get along with Marcus Garvey. They had beef. Malcolm X at one point had beef with Dr. King. Remember? He called him a raccoon, I do believe. And at the end, because he wasn't with that nonviolent stuff. He was by any means necessary, as am I. And so with that all being said, even when you think about people that's in our own community right now, right? I remember Tyreek going through a similar thing when he and Dr. Umar fell out. Y'all remember that? People were saying stuff like, oh, I just wish you two could work it out. I wish y'all could get together, da, da, da. Or wasn't he in your documentary? At the end of the day, sometimes the leaders amongst us, and I'm not a leader, and please don't liken me to one. I'm just a truth speaker and a truth seeker. And someone who sheds light on hidden agendas. But with that all being said, even when they had a beef, there were some people who liked them both, who just wanted them to unify and get it together. And here's what I'll say to those of you who ask me that. Why don't I just settle the differences or whatever? Well, I would gladly do that if and when she gives atonement for the things that she's done to those people in the past who were left homeless on the streets, foundational Black American people, elderly people who were left homeless on the streets. And when she stops running this whole little con game on Black people today in 2022, talking about ancestral codes, DNA made and you get access to through keys and ATM cards. But also, let me say this. I want to read to you all what someone left me. I don't just accept the government say based on, hold on. Let me go to, Yuakata says, I don't just accept what the government say based on their word. Plus what I observed of her, she ain't cool. Let me say this. At the end of the day, y'all know I don't trust the government. Y'all do know that, right? I tell y'all all the time, any Black person that trusts this government, nefarious as they are, well, you've got to have your head checked. But here's the thing. I'm not just going off of the government paperwork. I'm going off of the victims, because there are victims. I'm going off of the victims and the co-conspirators. All right? There were co-conspirators. So when she said she was a whole activist and all of that, well, if you were, and you were just targeted by the government, common sense would tell me, why did you have a whole host of co-conspirators? I also showed you the documentation where her mother, her own mother, Patricia Evans Dillard, also had a case about foreclosure and being put out on the streets. Her own mother, okay? The paperwork had her mother's name on it. Do I need to pull that back up? Because I clearly can. And so with that all being said, at the end of the day, it's not just about the government, because I don't trust the government, neither should any of you. Us being Black folk, we never should. And so here's my point. What I need you all to realize, put on your critical thinking skills and please exercise your common sense. What I'm saying to you is this. When she has been telling us this story for all these years about the government framing her, it all sounds plausible to me, because I know that the government does these types of things to Black people, especially when you're an activist. And she knows that too. That's why she said it. But when I started digging and doing my own due diligence, as you all should do, I found not only a list of victims, and I have their names. I not only found a list of victims who actually exist, I found a list of co-conspirators. And to you, Akata, who said you don't trust the government, as she said, that person is another confused person. We all know not to trust the government. It's the FBI that came for her. Thank you, beloved. Thank you. But here's the thing. Let me just show this. For anyone who thinks that I'm only saying these things because of the government, this is what I want you to keep in mind. Let me go back. Let me go right back. Because some of y'all are a little bit slow, apparently. This is all I have to say about that. If those documents are fraudulent and the government lied on her and framed her, who is this woman? Who is this woman? Is this someone that doesn't really exist, that didn't really sue her and her co-conspirators in court, that didn't file the paperwork to do so? This is a real person. This is someone who is actually a victim. And there are many victims. I found at least 10 victims. So with that all being said, whether you want to believe that she's saying she didn't do anything or not, what you can't deny are the victims. Okay? And the 50 people that testified in court, I have some of their names too. So just stay tuned. Because at the end of the day, it's all going to make sense by the by. All right. That's all I'm going to say about that. But hold on. Let me now talk to you about something I received. G from the land said that's tangible proof. Yes. And thank you, beloved. And here's the thing. Rather than questioning me and my motives or my receipts, what you should be questioning if you have any sense, what you should be questioning if you have critical thinking skills, what you should be questioning if you give a care about our elderly foundational Black American people being left homeless on the streets, what you should be questioning is why hasn't she come out and shown any receipts? She's come out and spoken about this numerous of times, protesting her innocence and saying that I'm hating and that people are just confederate against her in so many words. Why hasn't she shown one single receipt? If the documents are false, why hasn't she shown documents to prove that these are false? Why hasn't she shown any receipts? I'm going to leave it at that, because what I'm not going to do is sit here and go back and forth with people who clearly don't have enough intelligence to decipher truth from lies. Okay? That's what I'm not going to do. Because if you have seen all the evidence that I presented and you still believe her, though she's presented none, then that just means you're stupid. I hate to say it, but it's true. That just clearly means you're stupid. I've shown you more than enough evidence, and homelessness is no joke, Judah Queen. You're absolutely right. TJ said because she's lying, Queen. Absolutely. Eileen says, I'm an elder, and people like that, they just find some other way to be nefarious. Yes, beloved, you're absolutely right. And that's what I said. I said people who scam and defraud people and they go to prison for it, all they do is learn how to do it a legal way. There's legal scams. You see, it's not illegal for her to sell you those bogus ATM cards and lie and tell you that it'll help you get money if you say these incantations that she gives you. If you chant those to yourselves 30 days in a row. It's not illegal for her to buy keys off of Amazon that she paid $27 for 60 of them and then sell them to you for $27 a piece and lie and tell you that they are keys to the ancestral codes to unlocking and untapping your DNA. It's that she's received downloads from the Most High, that she's received downloads from the ancestors. There's nothing illegal about that. So, at least not in this country. Now, as you can see, in Zimbabwe, that pastor got locked up. All right. So she better be glad she's not there, or she'd be right back in prison, where, if you ask me, she clearly belongs. And that's just my opinion. Now, with that all being said, I want to read this to you all. Someone posted this on Twitter. I awakened to see this morning, and I find it also very interesting. So I'm going to talk about it. And I told the person, I said, I'm going to use this. XX Frank Nita says, I got to be too stupid to believe that. I got to be stupid to believe that. Influencer says she can't explain it away. She's just like the government who will say those people who were swindled were backwards and naive. Pick one, Wiggy. Right. You all know how when the government comes out, or shall I say, when people come out to speak against the government, those people are deemed crazy. The government does everything to discredit them, to make them seem like they're just crazy, they're conspiracy theorists and all that. That's all she's doing. She's using the same tactics as the wanton supremacy use when we call them out on their BS. She's using the same tactics and strategies when I'm bringing all this stuff to light on her. She's using the exact same things. She's trying to change the narrative, just like they changed the narrative when Colin Kaepernick was peacefully protesting for social injustice. They tried to make it about the flag and the anthem and said that he was being disrespectful. She's doing the same thing. When we talk about reparations, in which we should be focused on reparations and we should be focused on the rally that's being held and all of that, right? But here's the thing. She's doing the same thing that the wanton supremacists do when we talk about reparations. They try to change the directive of energy and the conversation by saying that they never had slaves and that they never benefited from slavery and that none of their ancestors had slaves. That's what they love to tell us. Well, if their ancestors never had slaves and they never had slaves, well, who had slaves? Because somebody had slaves. And if they never benefited from slavery, then who benefited? Because somebody clearly did. You know, when you think about J.P. Morgan Chase, that bank was built off of slavery, funds that came from slavery. Many of these name brand items and name brand companies that some of our people purchase from, they gained their generational wealth off of slavery. And so with that all being said, she's using the same con that they use. She's trying to change and redirect the flow of the conversation. She's trying to make it brainwashing. Absolutely. Absolutely, naughty bag. All right. So, yeah, DuPont, says Frank Nitty. Absolutely. So she's using the same tactics that they use to try to throw the focus off of the subject and topic at hand. And I'm not going to let her do that. I'm not going to allow that to be done. So I don't care who says that I'm lying, that I'm hating or whatever. I'm not going to be deterred by any of that. That's just foolish talk. And to me, the work that I'm doing is much more important than that. You know, and I want you to pay attention, because when Malcolm X was against Dr. King because he didn't like his tactics or whatever, and he felt that Dr. King was playing into the white man's hand, so to speak, there were some people, some of our people, who were against Malcolm because they loved Dr. King so much. Dr. King was very charismatic. He was very wise, but he was nonviolent. And Malcolm was by any means necessary. And so some people felt they had to pick a side. Some people didn't want to pick a side because they liked them both. So they wanted them both to come together. That's the same thing happening here. Okay, so I'm just saying, I already know and accept the fact that some people aren't going to be with me and some people will actually turn against me. And I'm fine with that. But I will continue to be a voice for the voiceless. I will continue to speak out for those who lost their homes and were left on the streets. And I will also continue to speak out for people like Mr. Hotel and his father, Ashara, Angel Love, and other people who were loyal to her. And they realized that they were being deceived. I will continue to speak for people like that. And I will bring attention to their stories. And when they want to share their stories with us, I will allow them to do so. Okay. Now, and let me say this. Let me get back to Mr. Hotel for a second, because some of you were saying you couldn't hear his audio very well or whatever is in and out. What he was basically saying is that when I told you all that she was using the 27th law of power, and that's why she was selling the keys for $27 and her t-shirts, most of them are sold for $27. And I know that because you all sent me the proof. And also that she was selling these little miniature gavels for $27. I was telling you that's a direct connection to numerology. And that's what these people often do. But Mr. Hotel was saying that after I started talking about the 27th law of power and the book, The 48 Laws of Power, he remembered that he had ordered online a series of books. And guess what? One of those books was the 48 Laws of Power. Now, he'd never read that book. And in fact, he ordered that book, I believe sometime in May. He said it was right before Vicki started changing the way she acted and the way she dressed and all of those things. And so with that all being said, he felt, and I agree with him, that there's a reason he ordered that book, a book that he'd never heard of prior. There's a reason he ordered that book, and a reason that it came into synchronicity is what I call it, with what I was talking about. When I started exposing her, I talked about the 48 laws of power. And I talked about the fact that she was using the 27th law. And I also want you all to know something too. I am led by the Spirit. The Most High does give me downloads and shows me things. Now, I was sitting at this same table thinking about the homeless people that had been victims of hers, and thinking about the people today, right now, who have been victims of hers, who've had, to endure these things that went on in webinars. And some of them have reached out to me and things like that. And I have prayed with and for some of them, and they know this. But also, and if I need to bring some of them on the show, I can do that too. Because I have no reason to lie about anything I'm telling you. But I was sitting here thinking about all these people and how they were so hurt. And it made me hurt because I'm an empath and I absorb people's energy. And I was sitting here and I was just thinking. And Spirit said to me, and when my spirit speaks to me, I believe that's the Most High communicating, because the Most High communicates to us through our psyche, through our consciousness, through our spirit. And so as I'm sitting here, something said to me, Spirit says to me, the answer is right in front of you. Because I was asking myself, how is she so able to charismatically convince people to fall for this BS? How is she so able to almost brainwash these people into believing everything that she says with no proof. And Spirit said to me, the answer is right in front of you. It's in a book. And so I looked over at my bookshelf, and the first book I saw was Ruled by Secrecy. And Spirit said, no, it's not that book. It's the 48 Laws of Power. So I took the book off the shelf and I sat down, and I want to tell you all this, and I can go get the book to prove it. In fact, I think I will. But here's the thing. When I looked at the book, The 48 Laws of Power, and I've had this book for such a while, the cover is missing. Some of the pages are even missing, you know, from moving and different things like that. But when I sat down, do you know what was the first law of power that I saw? I'm so glad you asked. It was the 27th law. My eyes immediately honed in on that one. And as I read it, and I read it to you all on the live, as I read it, that's the one that she's using. Spirit says this is it. This is what she's doing. And this is the answer to your question. How is she getting these people to believe her and follow her blindly? This is how. She's using the 27th law of power. So I don't think it's any accident that I was led to that book that I haven't read in years. I don't think it was any accident that though pages were missing, the exact same law that she's using was on the page, the first page that I looked at on that book. And when Mr. Hotel said that when I spoke about that book, he realized that's one of the same books that he'd ordered in a series of books. Now, if you don't think that is something higher, a higher power, that is more than a coincidence, that is in fact what I call synchronicity. Is, you see, it's when truth comes in alignment with truth. That's what that is. Okay, so I want you to pay attention to that. It's when truth comes into alignment with truth. And let me say this also. Mr. Hotel and Ashara, or Mr. Hotel and his friend Kenyatta, they both said that they had to choose between me and Vicki because she told them they can't follow me and her. She had her general to tell them they can't follow me and her. They have to make a choice. And they chose her out of loyalty to her. And so they unsubscribed to my channel. But they said they still continue to get my notifications. Now, if you don't think that that's divine intervention in actions, because there are some of you who are subscribed to my channel and you don't even get my notifications. So why is it that Mr. Hotel, and he's not the only one that said this, Kenyatta says the same thing, that they continue to get my notifications? Also, a couple of her people have reached out to me and they have said that in fact, when they tried to go on her website, one of them's in the chat. Ashley, if you're still in the chat, beloved, please confirm this, because Ashley and a few other people actually reached out to me and said that when they went to the website to watch her webinars, to purchase her webinars, that for some reason they were not able to get through to pay for it. Now, in hindsight, they say, after finding out about the satanic sexual ritual and the incantations, they feel like the Most High didn't want them to see those things, to be present. Okay, there's Ashley. Ashley says true. Let me put this on the screen. Ashley says true. Now, Ashley was also one of Wig's subscribers. Thank you, Ashley, for clarifying that. So I don't have to lie. If I tell you people are reaching out to me about certain things, I can absolutely verify it. And if I need to ask these people to come on my show, I absolutely will do so. I have no reason to lie about anything that I'm saying. And even if you want to fool yourself into thinking that I'm lying or hating, then you have to ask yourself, why are all these other people saying the same thing that I'm saying? Why are all these other people agreeing with what I'm saying? Please make it make sense. Okay? Kenyatta said, I fell totally asleep in the secret womb webinar, like out cold. That's true. Kenyatta, Mr. Hotel told me that, Kenyatta. And the reason you likely fell asleep is because you weren't supposed to be privy to what was going on, which was clearly something satanic, in my opinion. Now, let me say this. I want to read you all this comment that someone left me on Twitter. Okay, and then I'm going to be out of here. And I may not go live again today, beloveds. If I do, it'll likely be late because I'm still, working on this project. And also, we have not finished completing the video shoot. And I want to have that done before this coming Friday. Okay, here it is right here. Now I want you all to listen to this. I'm going to read to you. Me and this person basically had a back and forth. Hold on. Let me find the correct post. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the commentary. Okay, here it is. Now, listen to this. And I told this person that I was going to use them in my commentary. So listen to this. So I made a post on Twitter. Those who follow me, you saw it. And I made a post about the pastor who was selling the tickets to heaven. And this is what I said. This is no different. When I posted a picture of the pastor, I said, this is no different than Wig selling keys and lying about them activating people's DNA. She better be glad she's not in Zimbabwe. The con game is real. Be safe, family. And I put the laughing emojis, even though it's really no laughing matter. But, so this person says to me, they call themselves Carl4802. He says, 37 in like 8 hours. I guess in 8 hours it was going to be his birthday. And then he says, this post was a fail, sis. Let it go and move on. The only people that like this wig talk is the ones that love tension and beef. He got 3 likes on that comment, by the way. So here's what I said to him. I said, I'll let it go when Wig apologizes to those black people that she left homeless. Specifically Archbishop Williams. The fact that you try to liken this to a simple beef and you're okay with her lying about her case speaks volumes. That could have been any of our grandmothers. F out of here. That's what I told him. Okay? That's what I told him. Now, he continued to go back and forth with me. You know, he then says, oh, and this is another thing I told him. After that, I said, where was all of this smoke from you when I was exposing young Pharaoh? I clowned his rabbit tooth ace too. You just sticking up for Wig because she showed you thirsty ninjas, her nipples. Don't come for me. I said, you're just sticking up for Wig because she showed you thirsty ninjas, her nipples. Don't come for me, clown. That's what I said. And I meant that because you see, this sexual way that she's dressing, that's all to get the men on her side. That's all to get attention from men. She's showing nipples and all of that on videos. Who with class and dignity and poise and grace does that? A fishnet top with no bra. Now, I hope no one's foolish enough to think that I am jealous of that, because I could foolishly do the same thing and wear provocative clothing if I wanted to, but I could never. You see, because I am an actual queen and I carry myself with style, dignity, and grace. At least I try to. Now, so no, there's nothing for me to be jealous of. Okay? So a lot of these men who are sticking up for her, they're just thirsty Negroes. All right? And all you have to do is show them a thigh, you know, a little breast action, cleavage, and they'll be on your side. And that's what she's doing. She knows how to play the game. Okay, so pay attention. But I don't care about any of that. I'm still going to speak truth to power. I don't care who doesn't like it. So then he goes on to say, now pay attention to this. He responds to me and says, now I want you to pay attention, because what you'll notice is he tries to switch up his flow. Now, before he said, epic fail, sis, this wig stuff is only funny or only liked by those who like beef and all of that, right? So now he says, damn, sis, come at me like that? I haven't watched her in a while because of all the secret money in the womb advertisements. Content got weak trying to sell webinars, but cool, sis. Now, he said that because of what I said to him, and he couldn't dispute it. I said, you don't care about the elderly people left out on the streets? And then when I proved that, you know, don't try to make this like it's a petty beef. It's about other people that were victimized and are still being victimized. So then he wants to switch it up and act like he doesn't listen to her content anymore, that he fell off with her because of the webinar. Well, if you didn't listen to her content and you weren't for her, why would you care that I called her wig? Pay attention, okay? I know when people are trying to run game. He's trying to now switch up the narrative. but that's not going to work with me. I'm too smart. So after he said that, I then replied, well, if that's the case, why are you talking about me exposing her? Come at you. You came at me first. Or did you forget that part? I'm done responding because you just admitted that you know about the webinars and you defended her anyway. Boy, bye. I said, FYI, the ones that like it, because he said the only ones that like the wig jokes or whatever, are the ones who like beef. Well, this is what I said to that. FYI, the ones who like it give a damn about our elders that were forced out on the streets, while Wig filed bankruptcy and said that her value was approximately $17 million. Did y'all know that? Because I got that in the proof too. Okay, so you, sir, can miss me with it. The epic fail is Wig and her lies, which I will continue to expose. Stay tuned. He then says, I used to love your content. You are so informative and smart and beautiful. Now he wants to try to flatter me. Pay attention. After I exposed him and called him out on his BS, now he wants to try to flatter me. That doesn't work. If you were on Team Wig, stay on Team Wig. Don't try to come over here trying to, pander and trying to tell me what you think I want to hear. I don't need you to tell me I'm intelligent. I don't need you to tell me I'm beautiful. I know that already. I know who I am. Let me continue. Now, he says, you're informative and smart and beautiful. You told the stories nobody else did. Now you do Vicki content every day. And here's what I said. I sure do. Doing more exposing on her today. This isn't just a beef. If you only see that far, and like I said, and don't care about her lies, you don't need to follow me, period. People like you think it's fine that she posted Angel's social security number online and posted lies about that woman, shaking my damn head. All right? That's all I'm saying. Now, if you have a problem with me calling her Wig or exposing her or whatever, I find it interesting because here's the thing. Nobody cared when Tyreek was talking about Michi Munchies and he was making whole little Dola Michi videos and puppets and all that stuff. Nobody said nothing to him about that. So why is anybody mad because I'm calling Vicki Dillard Wig? I can call her whatever I want. If you didn't complain and tell Tyreek he was being divisive, then don't tell me that. That's all I'm saying. And another thing is, here's what you need to remember. This is war. All's fair in love and war, right? True? Now, if she can insinuate and imply that I'm a whole agent and that I'm lying on her and making up fraudulent documents, I can call her Wig. Okay? I've shown you the proof and the receipts. I've no need to lie about anything. Okay? If y'all didn't get mad when Tyreek talked about Michi or Dane Calloway or Yarima Karama, if y'all didn't say anything about that, if y'all didn't feel like he was being divisive, and not to try to put Tyreek on blast, but I'm doing this to prove a point. You see, because I feel like sometimes some of y'all try to come at the queen because I have a smaller platform. If I was as powerful and as influential as Tyreek and had all the followers he has, maybe you wouldn't be doing that. That's all I'm saying. But some of y'all seem to have selective outrage. If you didn't get mad at me when I called out Young Pharaoh, Black Lives Matter, Brother Polite, and others, why y'all mad now? That's all I'm saying. And he sat there and said it was an epic fail, but then he goes back and says, oh, you're beautiful and informative. You talk about things nobody else talks about. I agree with him. I absolutely do talk about things nobody else talks about. I expose things that nobody else will expose. And Wig is one of them. There's nobody else coming out here with receipts other than Michi. Michi was exposing her a long time ago. Nobody wanted to believe what Michi was saying. But now that I've come out here and I've shown you the actual footage, the actual receipts, so that you know that what Michi said is true and what I'm saying is true. So don't kill the messenger is all I'm saying. Don't shoot the messenger. But as always, I was prepared for the backlash, or shall I call it the blacklash? I was prepared for this. I know that there were some people who were going to be against me. I know that I might even lose some subscribers, but I don't care. I'm willing to risk that because what I will always do is stand up for my people. I told y'all this the other day. That's what I will always do. And these people who were victimized by her then and the ones that continue to be victimized by her now, I will be a voice for them. And if they want to speak, I will allow them to come on my platform and do so, as I have done with Mr. Hotel, Ashara, and Angel. Okay? So I don't have to sit here and paint narratives and tell lies or hate on anyone. And I specifically would never hate on anything about Wig. And I want to ask you all, if you look at her and look at me, and if you listen to me and listen to her, and if you study the level of intelligence that each of us has, why would the queen have to hate on her? I'm sorry. Well, ask yourself that. Seriously, ask yourself. Why would I have to hate on her? Just ask yourself that. I mean, it's really ridiculous that anyone would ever think so. What does she have that I could possibly want? If you think it's more subscribers, that's a joke. I've never been in this for subscribers nor money. And in fact, there's a person who brought it to my attention the other day, and I had forgotten all about this. They said, Queen, I know you're not about the money. I know you're in this because you love your people, because I'm the one who had to pressure you to monetize your channel. I had forgotten about that. You see, when I first started my channel, the one that's currently banned, and I had gotten past 1,000 subscribers, I had been on YouTube probably for like 8 months, maybe 6 or 7 months. And I had not even attempted to monetize my channel. Well, partially because I felt like the things that I was talking about were controversial. And also, I was more focused on getting the word and the information out. And they kept telling me, Queen, you need to monetize your channel. And I said, no, I'm not worried about that. And they were like, no, you need to monetize your channel. So let me say this. I started my channel in February of 2020, right? I started going live. I actually had a channel that I would use just to be on YouTube. But I actually started going live February of 2020. I didn't apply for monetization of my channel until August of 2020. So you do the math. Now, if I was all about money and all that, and I had way more than 1,000 followers when I applied for it. I'm just saying. So it's not about money. And it's not, and if that was, and hold on, let me say this. I almost forgot this. This is very important. Let me say this too. I told you all that there were some people that I felt like were sent by her to try to set me up. And let me just explain what I'm talking about. I'm not going to call their names. Now, if need be, I can show receipts. But here's the thing. There has been a couple of organizations that all of a sudden out of the woodwork come reaching out to me, asking me to do fundraisers for them. Now, my question to them was, a fundraiser for what? And they explained to me what the fundraisers were for, okay? And then they said, do you want to do it by yourself or would you need us to come on your show? And I said, well, if it's a fundraiser and it's something you're talking about, then you would absolutely have to come on my show. And they said, well, I'm not going to show my face. So you want me, let me get this straight. They want me to hold a fundraiser for their cause. And then they don't want to show their faces on screen. Here's the thing. I have no problem with anyone coming on my channel and you may not want to show your face. That's nothing shocking because, there's many YouTubers that don't show their faces. But here's the thing. When you are someone that I've never heard of and you've never reached out to me before, and now you want me to put my name, my credibility on the line and collect funds for you and your cause, and you don't even want to show your face, I find that very suspicious. And how do I know that the money you're telling me to raise or you want me to raise for you is going to be used for what you say it's going to be used for? Now, I find it more than a coincidence that this all happened right after I dropped those receipts on Wig. I find it much more than a coincidence. And we already know that she uses covert tactics, as has been exposed by her own people. Saying how she infiltrates people's chats by sending her minions to hide out and lurk in the chats under fake profiles, flagging people's channels and things like that. leaving nasty comments or giving information about other people in chats, that people that she had a problem with. I was told by Mr. Hotel that she's even been in my own chat. And we've all seen that her mother has even been in my own chat. So when you have someone that you're dealing with like this, she, to me, is beyond nefarious. She's what I would call diabolical or sinister. And I put nothing past her. You see, at the end of the day, she's drowning under the truth. She's being drowned in a sea of lies while I stand above her, spilling the truth. And so now she's desperate, as far as I'm concerned, and she'll do anything and everything to discredit the queen. But I'm not going to fall for any scams. I've never held a fundraiser for my own self, much less holding one for someone who I don't even know. These people, I don't know them. These organizations, one of them reached out to me on Twitter. One of them reached out to my fan page, because I guess they thought that I run it, but I don't. My chief moderator does. And so my chief moderator let me and the other moderators know that this organization reached out, wanting me to shout them out and work with them and all this. I don't know who these people are. Now, this has never happened before, so it's safe to assume that someone's trying to set me up. And that's absolutely what I believe. So I have to move very carefully at what I do. And I also told you all about the man that called me and threatened me and said that I better stop talking about her or else. My very life could be in danger. Now, I said all that to say this. If someone called me and threatened me, and I know that I could possibly be in danger, but I'm still not going to stop talking and exposing her, then you should also know that for those of you who are calling me a hater and saying that I'm being divisive and, whatever the things you're saying, that's not going to stop me either. That's just not. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm going to continue to do it. As long as I operate in truth, as long as I operate with, looking at the bigger picture, as long as I'm operate at the behest of foundational Black Americans, our people who have been victimized then and now, as long as I'm doing that, that's what the Most High wants me to do. And I know the ancestors, I'm making my ancestors proud because I'm standing in truth and I'm never aligned with lies. So with that all being said, I'll continue my work by hook or by crook. No one's going to stop me or deter me. Your insults will not hinder me. You can say or think what you want. Another thing I want to say is this. That comment that I showed you all just a few days ago from someone who called himself TM, T-I-A-M, in my comment section, who said they didn't care if I went in or, off with her head if you must, but just know that in your choosing to do so, you're equally as problematic. How could they ever say that I'm as problematic as someone who's conning our community? I've not conned anyone, and I challenge anyone to come forward and say that I have. I've not conned anyone. Okay, I have not, nor have I, done anything fraudulent to our people or anyone else in the past. Not our people, not any other people, because I'm not a fraudster. I'm not a trickster. I'm not a scammer. Everything I do it legally. And I do it in the best interest of not only myself, but of my good people. So at the end of the day, let me tell you something. When people are sitting up here trying to paint these narratives and trying to discredit me, it's absolutely not going to work. No weapon formed against me shall prosper because I'm standing in truth. All right. I'm not sitting here telling lies. That's what she's doing. That's why she has no receipts. That's why her people who follow her have no receipts. They cannot dispute or deny the things that I have said with any facts, proof, or evidence. All they have is a bunch of lip service. And they can foolishly continue to follow her to the slaughter at the end of the day. But I'm not going to sit here silently and not say anything. Because as a truth speaker and a truth seeker, it's absolutely my job to speak against these things. So with that all being said, I wish you all love and peace and prosperity. I want to thank you all for tuning back in once again. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at QueenAhmadiyyah. Asha says, thank you, Queen, for accepting your assignment to teach and inform Black people in truth. Thank you, beloved. Influencer says, wouldn't even know how. Hold on. Let me read a few more of these comments. Wouldn't even know how and would fail miserably at it because the Most High keeps you close. Thank you, beloved. Absolutely. So, I'm just going to tell you all like this. I love my people. sometimes when I'm talking about certain stories that happen to Black people, I get upset and I get angry. And that's because I'm a Pisces, and Pisces are often very passionate. You know, that's why some people don't like the fact that Michi curses and all that, and she gets so upset and she gets very aggressive. Well, Pisces, we are aggressive, and we're passionate about the things that we believe in. And we're also passionate against people who we see doing things that are against us in our community. So don't take that the wrong way. Don't take that as hate. It's not about hate. It's about people being hurt by things that have been done against them, by people being hurt and having empathy and sympathy about the wrongs that have been perpetuated upon our own people. We don't just have to worry about the wanton supremacists. We have to worry about those against us in our own camps. There are some of our own people who are against us. Please, let's not forget how W.E.B. Du Bois was clearly trying to undermine Marcus Garvey. Okay? And a lot of people fell for it. He was very convincing and charismatic. And I want you to also pay attention. In history, and you can do your own research on anything that I say, feel free to look up anything. And if you come back with anything that I've said about wig or anything else that is lies or in fact not factual, then please feel free to come on here and address it. But here's the thing. I want you to pay attention that most of the people throughout history, whether they're Black, white, or other, who have been Decepticons is what I call them, who have been scammers, who've been fraudsters, who've been people that try to brainwash or start cults and things like that. These people are often attractive people, and they're charismatic and they're well-spoken, and they have a higher level of intelligence than some. And the reason these people are the ones that do these things is because they're the kind of people that can make people flock to them. Because people love attractive people. People love well-spoken people. People love intellectual people. And they definitely love charismatic people. And so that's why people like Vicki Dillard, Jim Jones, David Koresh, right? That pastor over in Africa, that's why they can pull these things off. That Black lady that I just showed you the video of in Atlanta, who conned those people about those grants for Black businesses, she was attractive too. You see, people are much more susceptible to believe the lies of beautiful looking people. But when they're looking at these people on the surface, if your third eye isn't open and your pineal gland isn't activated and you don't know the truth from lies, then you won't see the ugliness, the darkness that resides inside of them. With that all being said, I wish you all love, peace, and prosperity. I want to thank you all for tuning back in once again to the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur TV show. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Be the change that you want to see. Do something productive and constructive, never destructive. And always, beloveds, remember to keep the Most High first in your life. Thank you, Mr. Hotel. Tell your niece I said thank you, beloved. Peace.
In order for you and me to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another Black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is Black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Tamir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a Black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my Black shoes by the Black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man that go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations, I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.